In this episode, our heroes are still in Galar and Go catches a Sobble pretty early on. But anyway, hey, this is GatorEX and let's go ahead and discuss episode 28 of Pokémon Journeys, the anime. It's a pretty neat one. Some interesting discussion is going on, definitely. For one, the Sobble that was at the end of the last episode was caught by Go pretty early on in this episode. And, like, again, feelings are mixed. Personally, I think it's fine. I think it's alright. I kind of discussed it at the end of the last episode, how it seemed to be setting things up for Go to catch Sobble. So, what's interesting is, while they're eating breakfast, Sobble's kind of invisible and is taking some of their food. So, they encounter Sobble pretty early on. And it cries, and the interesting thing, Sobble's got the ability, apparently, when it cries, it causes other people around it, other Pokemon around it to cry as well. I didn't know about that, and I actually looked it up. I checked the Pokedex, and yeah, it says that. I probably should have read the Pokedex a lot more while playing Sword and Shield. But anyway, Sobble runs away, of course, being all sad, and while they're looking around for it, they run into Nurse Joy, who kind of informs them about Sobble, lets them know that it's a very timid Pokemon, and it turns visible when it gets wet, or it camouflages when it touches water. So they think it's in the fountain, so it's invisible, so Go's kind of talking to it, saying, hey, I like your ability. And earlier he had told Ash something along the lines of, yeah, I like that it hides itself, kind of similar to Mew. So interesting there, that Go's kind of got a connection to Sobble, or he likes it, I guess. It'll be interesting to see how Sobble follows him around, hopefully, maybe. Because, in the recent episodes, Riolu's in this one quite a bit, with Ash having Riolu and Pikachu out at the same time, with them. Maybe we'll see that with Go having, Sobble and Raboot. Again, because they're new Pokemon, Generation 8. So, while Go's talking, he kind of just throws a Pokeball out of anger, frustration when he thinks Sobble wasn't there, and it turns out that Sobble was there, and he caught it. And, Sobble let him catch it, I guess. So, really early catch. I think this was maybe like 5 minutes into the episode, if at all. So, pretty interesting catch there. Not the best, but not the best, or most exciting catch. But hey, Go's got a Sobble, so that's pretty neat. While they're hanging about, they run into a Silicobra, that's it. Silicobra and then Sandaconda. Weird names, but they run into a Silicobra, which is actually really big. I had no idea it was this big. Like, you expect the snakes to just be long, I guess, but it is not that big in the games, but apparently it is in the anime. So when throwing a Pokeball doesn't work, Go decides to send out Sobble to battle it. Good matchup. And Sobble seems all nervous, of course, but actually it ends up turning invisible, because its own tears can turn it invisible as well. And that actually works to its advantage against the Silicobra, especially since it has type advantage, and it's beating them up, but then it gets covered in sand, it's not invisible, it gets that, runs away. So then becomes kind of the larger chunk of the episode, and like I said, things seem to be moving not fast, but fast in a way, because again, this was a catch at the beginning of the episode. Normally how things are is that, they meet a Pokemon, they help it work through whatever problems it's having, and then they catch it at the end of the episode. But this one, catch it at the beginning and then help it work through its problems. But I mean, is that, such a bad thing? Who knows? So while they're looking for Sobble, it turns out that Team Rocket is downriver of where Sobble runs away to. Because, at one point, like, Go finds Sobble at the river and tries to talk to him, but of course it cries and distracts Go and runs away. The interesting thing, I think they say specific, like, the phrasing they use is that it's tears pack the chemical punch of 100 onions, which is, weird thing to say, but again, like I said, it says that in the Pokedex, so hey, I'll roll with it. So, back to Team Rocket. As they're fending off a Morpeko from stealing their food, they actually run into Sobble, and here our heroes calling out for Sobble and decide to use it as bait. So then they come to up to where Team Rocket is, just about, not of course before, Go's a little discouraged, and Ash encourages him. He of course tells him, hey, just try harder next time. You just caught Sobble, things aren't going to work out immediately. And you realize, Ash kind of knows what he's talking about. Ash has got several Pokemon. In fact, when Ash got Pikachu, things didn't work out the best. It took some getting used to. It took effort on Ash's part in order to bond better with Pikachu, and of course, it took effort on Pikachu's part. It's real interesting to see, how Ash and Pikachu are now. To think back and remember how they were in the very first episode, how they acted toward each other. So again, Ash knows what he's talking about when he gives this advice. So they run into Team Rocket, who of course obviously wanted to exchange Sobble for Pikachu. It's not happening, but Sobble of course caused them to cry. And like throughout the entire episode, it's some pretty good comedy, I guess, with Sobble causing people to cry. Of course, you know, when it eventually evolves, probably, you know, if it does evolve, I think Sobble could evolve throughout the series of the anime, and you know, if it does, then that joke will come to an end, I guess. I guess it'll be funny to see if it comes into play, because you know it has been useful, and as we'll see, you know, as we see in the episode, it is useful in the episode, particularly with distracting Team Rocket in a sense. So they get the gacha machine, the gachapon, and they get an Armaldo and a Magnezone. Those are their names. Battle goes on, and Sobble sees Go, you know, how hard Go's trying. For one thing, you know, Magnezone is causing problems for everybody, you know, using its sonic waves to, you know, stop everyone from moving. But Go kind of looks, Go is calling out to Sobble saying, hey, you know, I'm going to save you, and stuff like that. And Sobble looks at this and has some flashbacks and realizes that Go is kind of the first person to give him the time of day, first person to, I guess, acknowledge him, recognize him, see him, I guess, because, you know, Sobble's always invisible, almost because it's so timid, because it's always crying, and so its own tears are causing it to become invisible, so on. It's an endless cycle, except for, you know, Go, someone who, you know, likes a lot of Pokemon, you know, likes several Pokemon, and particularly Mew, and, you know, he says specifically that the Sobble's ability reminds him of Mew, and, you know, makes some sense, so that's how Go kind of bonds with him. So Sobble breaks out of the cage and is heading toward them, stopped by an Armaldo, and here's the best part, of course. Sobble starts crying, and everyone around him starts crying as well, including Magnezone and Armaldo. There's a great gag because both those Pokemon have got eyes like way on the far side of their head. They're Sid the Sloth looking dudes. And so they start crying out of those eyes, which is pretty funny. Now, the best part, of course, is that our heroes, our team, have all got goggles suddenly. And here, the best part is that this comes from a flashback that Go had of Mr. Mime cutting onions, and how, you know, because Mr. Mime is an expert cook, he was prepared having goggles to cut the onions. So Mr. Mime saves the day yet again. See, you know, we gotta, you know, we stand Mr. Mime on this channel. So, you know, a neat kind of thing, I guess. How do I describe it? A neat interaction, I guess, between everyone. And, you know, I like seeing stuff like that, you know, characters learning stuff from each other, picking up things from each other like this. So, of course, even our the Pokemon have some goggles as well. I keep calling them babies just because they're all small, but I mean, you know, Pikachu's like so much older than all of them, but I mean, you look at them wearing goggles. They're all babies, they're all goggle babies, so they're able to attack and defeat Team Rocket, and, you know, everything's resolved. So then Go is able to talk to Sobble, talk with him, and kind of say, hey, you know, I'm sorry I made you battle, and I don't want you to battle. You know, a big thing is that, you know, a big theme that they had mentioned, something along the lines of Sobble being weak, and that Go doesn't believe Sobble's weak. He tells him, you know, I know you're timid, but you're not weak. And it's a good, you know, it's a good wholesome thing, and especially with Sobble, how Sobble receives it. And, you know, we don't particularly know what Sobble wants or likes. You know, I don't think that Sobble was like 100% against battling the Silicobra like near the beginning of the episode, because, you know, if it was, it would have tried to run away earlier. I think I think, you know, it just got scared or embarrassed, or maybe in a way, when it couldn't turn invisible, you know, when it was covered in sand. So I think, you know, Sobble probably will want to battle, and especially, like I said, you know, with Sobble in the actual game, so development that it goes through in his personality, that itself is pretty neat to see, just because we see how it grows, we see how it develops. And so if we see that same thing in the anime, you know, especially with Sobble, and if Sobble kind of wants to battle more so, which, again, you know, it didn't really explain that. Is it just me, or was that not really explained why Sobble ran away specifically, or if Sobble was against battling? But point is, you know, Sobble doesn't see itself as weak, I guess, now, especially with Go kind of pouring into Sobble this, you know, some encouragement and everything. But overall, you know, it was a pretty good episode. Again, there's been some discussion on like, oh, the capture wasn't the best, or just people who wanted Ash to get Sobble instead of Go. Again, I think it's fine, and I think if they continue with this angle, working on Go learning more as he handles Sobble, because again, like I said, Go is a new trainer, and Ash is a lot more of a veteran. Ash obviously still has some stuff to learn, but when it comes to a Pokemon like Sobble, I think that it could work out a little better if Go is the one encouraging him, because Go had to deal with Raboot in terms of like getting it to like him, and now he's got Sobble to work with, and the narrator I think specifically says at the end like their bond is a little stronger, so there's still room to grow. So I would definitely love to see Sobble return in later episodes, but overall, fun, nice episode. The last one was pretty crazy in terms of like how much there was, but this was a solid one. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Did you like this episode? How do you think it's gonna go forward with Go and Sobble's relationship, and what would you like to see going forward? Leave a comment below. We'll continue the discussion down there. If you enjoyed the content, remember to leave a like and subscribe to show your support. You can enable notifications by clicking the bell icon next to the subscribe button. This will make sure you see each new video as it comes out, and will make you a member of the Chingling Squad anyway. This has been GatorEX. Have a nice day.